has to do with the nature of goals themselves. I mean, being an evaluator or being in an evaluation office, goals always rise to the top because everyone's thinking, how do I get to this final goal? Like, how do I move through COVID and this crisis so that we can still reach our goals? Well, goals are important. The problem is in the brain, as Aldous Huxley said, nor am I the captain of my soul, I am only its noisiest passenger. And really what this translates to is that you've got 100 billion neurons in your brain. And let's say you say our goal is to reach X number of people with Y amount of money. Well, as that goal is going on, it's also interacting with other neural circuits, like the mirror circuits in your brain. And John Bargh and colleagues found that, in fact, goals are not guaranteed. Even if you say what a goal is, you are not guaranteed to reach it. Goals are selfish in the brain. Each goal competes with another goal. And goals are like independent soldiers in your brain, and the strongest one will win. For example, you might have a really strict diet goal, and your diet goal is a very sensible goal, right? I mean, for a lot of people, it's like, okay, it makes sense. I need to lose weight. I'll feel better. I'll be healthy. I'll live longer. Great goal. Well, your chocolate goal doesn't even need to work out. Your chocolate goal is so strong, if you like chocolate, that it's likely going to beat your diet goal. And so one of the things that happens is if there's priming, it activates the chocolate goal. So for example, let's say you say, I'm definitely going to diet and I'm fine. And you manage to diet. You don't even have to think about the chocolate. If you enter somewhere and you smell the chocolate, immediately it activates and strengthens the chocolate goal. Now, what I'd like you to be thinking about is when you're communicating goals to people you're evaluating, what are their chocolate goals, metaphorically speaking? What is competing with the goals that you are articulating? And the same for yourself. Bargh and colleagues also found that conscious purpose matters very little, that it's trumped by the listener being tempted to imitate you, withdraw from you, or shut down their motivation. So you go into an evaluation situation and you know what the feeling is like. You have a certain power, right? You're an independent evaluation office. You have a certain power. You're about to tell someone what they think about you. The brain is wired so that when they feel that impending attack, they start to withdraw. So you're speaking to them, but there's much more going on in their brains. They're withdrawing, they're shutting down their motivation if they feel threat. So an example would be that, if your evaluation shows that a person is not spending money on what is relevant to the sector, selfish goal theory says the evaluant hears your critique, is motivated to correct this, but also feels your anger and gets angry right back, withdraws from hearing you, and they would rather pay attention to something else. So it's sort of interesting because if you say to yourself, I don't understand, why are they not following? This is like a very easy thing to understand. I am just saying, do this, and then that will happen. Sometimes that works out. But if you're in a situation where you realize this person they seem like they're not even listening to me, ask yourself, are they not listening to you because they're in such a defensive position that they're withdrawing from you and not hearing what you're saying? The implications here are to discuss the goals rather than simply stating them, and to ask about how the complexity of the situation prevents this goal from being achieved. One of the problems with evaluation, with any kind of evaluation, is even if you identify 25 or 30 factors, life is much more complex, right? There's what the person is bringing to work. It's whether they had a fight with their spouse. It's what happened on the way to work. It's what's happening with their financial situation. It's where their child is going to be going to school. It's about whether they've moved. It's about what's happening with COVID. There's so much going on in the brain at any one point in time. I'm not saying that you have to go in and be someone's psychiatrist and try to understand what's going on. But what I am saying is it's important to be sensitive when you're delivering evaluation findings that it's not quite as simple as it looks. And so what might help is, rather than targeting all 25 things that you think need to be changed, are there target points in this complex system that affect other target points? So before you go into an evaluation, if you are evaluating 20 factors, what if 3 of them are connected to all of those other factors? Like, do you actually think about what those factors are? And is this something you can address rather than just addressing the goals? And then to talk about course correction strategies. And what I'm suggesting here is that you actually make the evaluation process more complex, rather than seeing yourself as a deliverer of information who spews information out in the presence of someone else. Is there a way in which you can understand the complexity of what's affecting what, so that you can have a discussion about that. The conclusion here is that in terms of asking questions, one of the things I'd like you to ask yourself is, do you have discussions about the complexity surrounding goals? And have you identified what is priming people going off course?